All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of C.U.S.P.P,
Welcome back.
the podcast that we talk about a lot of random stuff. The first thing that we're going to be saying real quickly before we even start the podcast is that if you don't know what this is, we talk about a lot of different things. We talk about curiosity, the universe, uh,
Supernatural.
paranormal, and
It.
psychic.
There you go.
Okay. I just double checked to make sure it was working.
You got it.
So as you can tell as well, our audios are a little bit, I'd say, off.
They're improving.
It's improving because we're using different apps on my phone to figure out what the audio or what's the best audio for us to use.
And we have awesome cheapy microphones to begin with.
$5 ones.
It's a microphone.
It sounds like I could use a tin can and then roll it around and make it use that instead of the microphone.
We could do that. I have string.
Okay, I guess
No.
no.
Careful what you wish for.
Anyways, today we're going to be talking about the paranormal.
Yeah, you said you wanted to talk about paranormal. So I'm curious now what it was that piqued your interest.
To be honest with you, I totally forgot. I've been focused on a lot of other things outside of the podcast. I'm not going to lie to you.
Okay, well, think paranormal. What do you want to discuss? What do you want to know? Your questions for me or questions for other people?
The paranormal. I think the original idea, what we were talking about before.
We were talking about ghosts, but we were talking about energy. We briefly touched on why a ghost would be where they're at and emotions, energy, things like that. And there was a story that you asked me to tell, and I want to say it was like episode 1 or 2 about a reading I did because I was doing mediumship.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I wanted to know about that. Why don't you go down that route first? Because I'm not probably going to remember the topic I had because it's been like a week and a half.
See if we can inspire something.
Yeah, something.
All right. So I've been a psychic medium my entire life, but I didn't quite know what was going on until I was older. I was triggered. My gifts were triggered in '97 with the passing of somebody very close to me. Excuse me. And that's when the mediumship kind of started with dreams, and then I just assumed it was grief. I was grieving him and things were popping up, and then I'd have them off and on, dreams, night terrors, things like that, and I just assumed it was a normal thing. And then when I got pregnant with you, the dreams went crazy.
Like super crazy.
Yeah, the night it was okay. So there's a difference between nightmares and night terrors. Night terrors are, excuse me. If you guys ever hear me do that, it's me trying to speak. Sometimes words get stuck in my throat. Um, Night terrors are they're exactly what they sound. They're terrifying. So nightmares are what you have where you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, that was crazy, that was wild. Night terrors when you wake up and you feel like that happened to you.
Like it's kind of like a nightmare in a sense where it's like if you fall off a cliff and you hit the ground, you wake up immediately as if you actually hit the ground and you can feel your body in that sense like you actually hit the ground.
Right. And there's some myths out there that say things like if you die in your dreams, you die in real life, and I can attest to you, I'm still living, and I've died every I don't want to say every way possible because I'm sure there's some unique ones out there. Every basic way possible that you can die, falling off the cliff, shot, stabbed, strangled. Like I've died in every way in my dream.
It's so weird that dreams
Those are the night terrors. Those are mortifying.
It's kind of like I imagine dreams kind of like intrusive thoughts, but our intrusive thoughts like create our own story.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting because I know when you're a psychic, um, some psychics out there actually get really bad night terrors or actual dreams that become reality. And what I really find interesting,
Premonitions, you mean?
yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of like I think last time I talked about this was that I had moments where I had a dream about a specific scene or scenario.
Yeah, you were talking about the gold book.
Yeah, it was like a gold book. And when I woke up, and about a year later, I had deja vu seeing the exact same gold book
Right.
a year later. Now,
excuse me.
What I find interesting about that is it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't anything like that pinpointed like a different direction of my life or anything along the lines of that. It just seems like, hey, you're probably gonna remember this. Cool, that's a nice gold book, I guess.
You had night terror. You used to do out of body when you were little, and you had night terrors. I want to say they started when you were about 5 or 6, maybe even 4. But I know at when you were 6 or 7, it was right before you were in pre-K.
Okay.
I was going with you every day. Like I took that year off so that I could be the volunteer at pre-K, which I will never regret. That was fantastic. Um, but you started getting night terrors, and they were keeping you up, and you have this thing where when you get tired or when you're little, it's this thing where your eyebrows, your little eyebrows would get all bright red, and we could tell that you were tired, and you just would fight it. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if he's having that issue. So I got some sage and tiger's eye and a dream catcher, and I put the tiger's eye under your mattress and the dream catcher in your room.
Why does the tiger's eye remind me of Anchorman?
I, You're gonna give it that the tiger perfume.
Yes.
Jaguar. This is
Jaguar. I was like, tiger's eye sounds very perfumey in a sense.
Oh my god, I love lamp. So that's a great mental image I have stuck in my head now. But I did that, and then I went in with the sage, and I said a prayer that this would be taken from you until you're ready. You're far too young, and you're not ready for this. And you got better. You stopped having the night terrors, and you started actually getting sleep.
Well, I think that's also because I think that's just because also I have a very big nostalgia when it comes down to smoke. Because I think sage smells great, first of all, because I like the smell of campfire smoke. I think a lot of people do. But that also has been kind of like a nostalgia factor for me for like a really long time.
It's a calming effect.
Yeah.
And now you know why. Because at one point you were in chaos with your dreams. And then I essentially cast a spell, if you want to go that route. I manifested a prayer to have it stop, and you got better. And it stopped. And I saged when I did that. So you kind of associate the calming effect of the sage smoke with the calming effect of your mind, maybe.
It's kind of like nostalgia too / psychological, because when you have something that calms you down when in your childhood, it'll probably calm you for like the rest of your life because you're so used to it.
Like a comfort smell.
It's like a comfort smell. It's like similar to like how some people when they have like family members smoke in the house like cigarettes, and then they're like, oh, I know that smell. It's right. Cigarettes.
It's familiar.
It's like a natural scent that you know. It's like living in the forest as well. Like if you were to live naturally in the forest, over time your senses would not only get heightened, but they would understand the surroundings and what to do. So, like, for example, if you smell like a fire in the distance, you'll know what that smell is. Same thing with like maybe understanding what good or bad food looks like.
Smelling and or
It's
kind of
the
sensing
five
the rain
senses.
before it happens.
Yeah, like
Yeah, because the
exactly.
humidity kicks up a bit, the air gets a little bit different
Well, not only that, but rain has a specific smell to them that
depending on
cannot
where you're
be
at. Yeah.
it can't be replicated, and that's why a lot of perfumers are like super interested in trying to get that scent because it's so hard to replicate it.
You just made me think of that movie, The Perfumer. It's not a good movie. It's a good movie. It's just
It sounds like it's
it sounds sweet, but it's not. It is so twisted and dark.
Did you know that whale vomit is apparently a really good smell?
Whale vomit.
Vomit. Yeah, it's a very high potent smell
Does
that
it smell like maple or oak?
I have no idea,
I
but
went very Pinocchio with
I
that.
think it just smells like wood.
Yeah.
Just outdoorsy.
Yeah. Okay.
And every time you lie, you actually have the scent become stronger.
See, I don't need to repeat the joke. You got it.
The weird thing I think that comes to mind with whale vomit though is that it's we go from the story to whale vomit. Yeah, so
you sound so sincere. Now the real thing, the real interesting thing about whale vomit.
well, okay, hold on now. It costs thousands of dollars for just even getting like I would say like 50 grams
People
of it.
pay for it.
Yeah,
I am in the wrong business.
and I feel like it's pretty paranormal in that because
I don't think that's paranormal.
well, no. Well, hold on. It's weird, and I say paranormal
I think
is
that
because
would be curiosities.
Mm,
That would be curiosity. That's
okay,
something
no,
they probably
no.
find at an oddity shop.
I'm trying to make it sound paranormal.
It's not paranormal.
Sorry, my curiosity gets
If
the
it
best
smelled
of
like
me.
wood, then it was being haunted by Pinocchio. That's paranormal.
Stronger smell. I just.
I can't describe the look on his face right now.
I'm just smiling and smirking really heavily.
The wheels are going.
But yeah, that's the interesting thing about whale vomit. That's the fact of the day that people actually pay for whale vomit to put into the perfumes to make them smell stronger or to make them smell good.
Interesting. What were we talking about before whale vomit? Because I've completely.
You were talking about saging the house.
Oh yes.
And you were going to talk about the story that you had about doing the reading.
Oh yeah, I was building up to that. I like to story build a little.
Did you know?
Did you know why they call people dorks?
This again?
Yeah, no, let's not go there. I'm 5 foot tall, so we'll just leave it at that.
It's the size of a whale, you know what? Genitalia.
Yeah, apparently it's 5 foot, so I'm officially
5 feet
size of a dork.
It's pronounced feet, mother.
Family members who think that's hilarious.
It's just pronounced feet, not foot. If it's foot, then it's a singular.
Feet
is plural.
Are you correcting my grammar right now, sir?
I'm surprised that you haven't remembered that feet is plural.
It's a measurement, which is math, and you know me in math.
You don't say foots.
I can say footsies.
You don't say. Well, I guess you could say feet if you're talking about like the. Continue your story before I go on a rant.
Oh yeah, before I start talking about misappearing, that was your favorite word.
Misappearing?
You couldn't say disappear when you were little. You said misappear.
Shut up, and really? Spaghetti.
No, Busketti.
I remember.
Busketti misappear.
I also had problems with saying G, so whenever I said grandpa, I said crappa.
Yeah, crappa. He loves that. You still call him crappa.
I still do because it's so funny. It's just funny. I don't mean to like say he's like crap. It's just
I called him too when he came over and he was helping us with the plumbing.
You just said
I was like, "Hey, crappa, how you doing?" He just big old cheesy smile. I was like, "I'm good. How are you?"
Yeah, it's a good. It's so funny. So story. You said you saged the house.
They saged the house, and you got better.
Okay.
And then you were still little. I think this before I saged the house and all that happened. I don't know. I got distracted with that. core memory popped up when I was talking about it. So in 2001, 2002 ish, we were still very little. I was a part of a group that's actually still out here, and I've reached out to them recently, like the past 6 months, called A Ghost, and it's an acronym for Amateur Ghost Hunters of Seattle Tacoma. I'm not being paid for that shout out, but they're awesome. And I was also part of a psychic development group back in 2000.
The psychic development group?
Yeah, it was a psychic development group because I had a dream and I did some automatic writing. And long story short, the dream told me to look in my closet. It's far more terrifying if I tell you the story of it than what happened. Anyways, found my cards, started kind of doing that, did the psychic development site, and then started going with A Ghost, Amateur Ghost Hunters. So we had groups that did EVP, those were the techie guys.
Yeah.
And then gals who didn't really have any kind of gifts, they just had interest in it in general. We had our camera nerds that did videography and photography to see if they could capture orbs or any kind of blurs or changes and different things. There's one guy who actually hooked his stuff up to photograph auras and heat.
To photograph auras. So, like,
yeah, like the energy around a person, and you could see like the colors. And
is it kind of like similar to like how much heat they probably produce?
I'm not sure how aura photography works now. I know it's different now, and they're way more advanced with the technology on it. But then I don't know what he did. It was a home DIY kind of, like a lot of their EVP stuff was very, very DIY. Picture Supernatural, where they have like the little handheld like ham radio and it's got the lights on it. It's like that.
Oh, it's kind of like
they made their own.
It's kind of like what is it called? A radiometer, where you check how much radioactivity someone has.
EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. Double check that's what that's called. So it picks up the electronic voices, and so it does. But his didn't record the voices. It just would kind of let you know if there was stuff in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another guy who had created a ghost box. And I mean, like, he created it. Very techie guys. And then we had a group of psychics, and then they were met with the mediums. And most, I'm going to be very careful how I say this. Most mediums have psychic abilities or gifts. Not all people with psychic abilities and gifts have the mediumship. Mediumship is kind of this offset of it. So you have, the psychics, you have their cognizance. It's like it's a bunch of. I have a lot of words in my head right now, and I'm trying to do that thing where I simplify. It's if you're psychic, you don't necessarily talk to dead people.
It's more like
But if you talk to dead people, chances are you are a psychic as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that group, and it was a mixture. And then you had the people that were just there because it's the thrill of it. Like, they enjoyed the idea of watching all these people do the different things. You would have leadership basically, and it would be 3 or 4 people in the leadership roles, and they alternate because not everyone can make it out on a day or whatever.
Right.
But they would go find a place, they would research it, find out all the details they could, like they would seriously, sincerely research it really good. And then once they had all their research, they would get permission from the city or the county or the people that live there or the cemetery, like the owner or management. Like, they would get permission wherever they needed to in order to get some kind of pass. I know there's another word for it. I can't think of it. You get it when you make movies and you have to get a certificate to be somewhere. Anyways.
Yeah.
They would get that so that we could be there overnight or for a certain amount of time. And then what they do is they would let us psychics and mediums go in first. And even though there was a large group of us, we would kind of take it in turns. So, and I don't know how Agos is run now. I'm just going by early, like 24 years ago. This is what it was. So the psychics and the mediums would go in and pick up what they could pick up on, and they would, write their information down, or they'd have somebody with them that would help write the information down because some of us can feel and think faster than we can write down. I think there was one gal that actually had a handheld, like just a little personal recorder, tape recorder, to record what she was thinking so she could type it out later. And then we'd take that information and give that to leaders. And while we were there, we would pick up all the stuff and kind of point in the different areas where we thought we were feeling cold spots or something different, or maybe we didn't feel anything. And then the EVP and the camera guys would come in behind us, and like we wouldn't do it in big groups. Like this makes it sound like it's a huge group. It was a small group of people.
It's like what, 5-7 people, somewhere around there?
People, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they would record it and take pictures and audio to catch the EVP, and then we would all meet up again. Like it was 2 to 3 weeks. We'd all meet up again, and they would go over the information, what we found as the psychic, the mediums and the psychics, and then what the audio found or the photography. Were there any orbs? And then leaders would come out and say what they found out, like the actual history of the house.
And they would do like some research of like if like it was built on a land, or like if it was
who lived there before, if it was a house, was there a death in the house, how did they die. Like they would get detailed information, and so they could match that up. And it was very, very good for the psychics and the mediums because a lot of us were developing.
This is really reminding me of a game, and I think you probably heard of this, called Phasmophobia.
Was it on that who's that guy that does the videos that I like with
Well, Let's Game It Out?
Yes, with Grace. He's always
so he
hates Grace.
So I think he did play Phasmophobia, but it's essentially a ghost hunting game, but it takes the steps that you're talking about, but instead of doing like the research and stuff like that, the research is there for you. All you're doing now is trying to find the evidence.
Oh, I see.
So it actually brings out sage. You can buy cameras that will record stuff. You can have someone in the van on
Interesting.
I think you would enjoy it, but the worst thing about it though is that it's like a lot of really bad like
jump scares.
Not even jump scares, more like ghosts hunting you down, literally. So there's a moment. So in the game, there's a really unique feature of it where the ghosts that died there can be a multitude of things. It could be a poltergeist. It could be a demon. It could be it could be even something as simple as just like a regular ghost, or
like that regular ghost.
Yeah, just something along the lines of that. But the cool thing is that if you get too far deep into it and your sanity gets low, you have a sanity bar, the house will lock on its own.
Oh no.
And you'll get chased down by the ghost. And you have to run around in the house until the ghost lets you go. Then you use that as evidence.
These are not games you play at night.
It's a game in fucking VR too.
Not that it's any worse at night than it is in the day. It just always feels that way.
My girlfriend has been telling me, if you get like 1,000 subscribers, we should definitely make you play this game in VR. And I'm like,
no.
Do you want me to punch a window out? Because I'll be tossing everything.
Watching Resident Evil.
Like the old games?
Is it not Resident Evil? It's
Silent Hill.
Yes, that's the one.
Yep.
Silent Hill. Okay, I was watching that game, and it was late at night. The character had a radio that would get all staticky whenever there was like something nearby, and the radio starts going silent again. So it's night, all the lights are out, and we're like leaning into the TV because you're waiting to hear something, right? We want to wake you up because you're
passed
definitely don't want to
out.
wake up a baby. Yeah. And so we're leaning into the TV and walking past this car, and I'm not even playing. I'm just watching because I like watching that stuff. I don't necessarily I can't walk straight in any game, but so we're leaning in, and out of between these cars, this like the Silent Hill dog jumps out. We both jump back. There was an audible noise from your dad. He was like, "Oh!" The controller didn't get thrown, but it got
tossed down.
tossed
Like,
down.
you're like, I'm done.
I'm done.
You would probably
didn't even do the save because you had to go to I think you had to do certain save
I think you had to do like typewriter stuff
It's
or
like save points.
yeah.
Yeah, and so that nope, it was done. Back off, turned it off. I was like, did not watch another Silent Hill one at night for a long time. It was a long time.
The first ever Resident Evil game had me scared when I was a teenager.
Laura.
No, I don't think so.
That was probably not the first one.
No, I think it might be the second one you're talking about. But the first one
was in the house.
Literally scared me so bad that the babysitter over at one of my uncles when we were living there for the time being, right? The babysitter was playing Resident Evil, and I didn't have the courage to ask her to stop playing because I was interested in video games, and she was like playing video games. I'm like, okay, might as well watch. And then I got a cold shiver down my spine when I first saw the zombie.
Yeah.
And this was PS1 graphics, and I'm still terrified because the angles of Resident Evil were so crap that you literally had a weird. Yeah, you had to like. I think that's why there's so many like anxiety like points in the game because it was such bad controls. You're like trying to tell yourself, "Get the fuck into the door!
Yeah,
stop!" Like you're running through the entire house. But it's such a bad thing that sometimes the camera angle would make you go back towards the zombies.
Yeah.
And it was just so bad. And then I had like.
It's amazing the traumas we remember, even with bad pixelated graphics.
It didn't matter to me. It looked gross.
Yeah.
Even back then, I was watching that on a CRTV screen, which for those who are watching, you probably know what that is. But for the younger folks who are of my age, like 24 and below, a CRTV was basically just a giant TV that had like tubes in it, and it had a different style of showcasing the video feed. And so when you look at the graphics now, you're like, oh, that's not bad. But when you look at a CRTV screen when you're that young, it looked bad. But it was bad enough for you to be like, I don't like how his teeth are just falling out of his like skull.
All right, let's go back to where we were at.
So you're talking about how
we're in the group.
Yeah.
They start going over the stuff that they found out in whatever location. They match it up with what the psychics and mediums picked up, and sometimes we would pick up something more or less, and it was really helpful for development. And then we would get sounds. It was rare that we would get voice with EVP, but I think that was just 2000s. 24 years later, they have ghost boxes now you can order on Amazon,
or you can use your phone. You literally can use your phone for a voice box, which I find interesting.
And then so there was that group. So I was there in that group, and I was developing, and I knew that I could pick up on things, and I had kind of experiences with hearing ghosts speak to me and kind of try to get me to talk to someone. And I didn't understand everything and what I needed to do, or how do you even approach it, or how do you, like, who teaches you how to do that stuff?
Right.
And so we were leaving for the day, and we were standing outside, and it was like Borders books back in the day. And we're standing outside, and there's this younger guy there. Well, obviously younger. He's younger now. We were probably the same age then. So we're standing there, and I had this very strong, nauseous feeling. but it wasn't like I'm going to be sick because I don't feel good. It was like I'm going to be sick because I'm nervous and I have anxiety and I need to talk to him. I need to talk to him. I need to talk to him. And I looked over at one of the ladies that was with me and I was like, I need to talk to him. And she's like, okay, so go talk to him.
Yeah, like, what are you
like,
doing? Just
I'm
go.
like, I don't know him. Do you know him? And she's like, no, I think he's new here. And I'm like, okay, well, and she goes, just come on. And she's like pushing me forward. And I'm not shy. I am shy off and on, but I'm not shy when it comes to meeting random strangers that I may never see again. I'm the most open book. Hey, how you doing? Very friendly kind of person. And I just couldn't like, and so we go up, we're like, hey, we see you're new here. And he's like, yeah, he's interested in the EVP stuff. He doesn't really know anything about psychics or mediums or ghosts or anything. He's just always been interested in it. And he thought it would be kind of cool. And I just blurred out, I have to tell you something. And I didn't know where it came from. It was literally, I have to tell you something. And he's like, oh, okay. And I said, I think I have a message for you. And I don't know, I've never done this before. And he goes, okay. And the lady that's with me is kind of smiling. And she was like, it's okay, just keep going. She's a psychic. She didn't have the mediumship, but she was a psychic. And I'm not gonna name her. So she's like, go ahead. And I'm like, okay, I don't I don't know how to word this because it's very
It seems personal.
sensitive.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, and this, like, I can picture this conversation. I said it was very sensitive, and I was worried that I was going to upset him and make him not want to ever come back again. And he said, he's like, no, it's okay, go ahead. And I said, it's very personal. Are you okay if she's here, or would you like her to walk away? And he said, it depends. And I said, I believe it's your father. And he said, I would prefer that she walk away. And so she walked away, and I'm not going to reveal who he is or what his name, any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and just
Just name him random, like
I'm
Jeff
gonna
and
random person. I'm just gonna try and tell the story the best
Yeah.
that I can without giving away.
I call him
too much.
Jeff. Jeff is like such a common name.
I work with like 4 Jeffs, so let's
See, such a common name, like I just said.
I just found out today that one of my coworkers actually has listened to the podcast. He probably won't get to this one for another 4 months. It was just kind of cool to hear him say that he heard it. Anyways, so we'll just say he. So I'm talking to him, and I said, I believe it's your father. Is your father passed on? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, we're in the right neighborhood. Then I described his father to him, and he said, yes, that's him. And I did hair color, eyes, all that, height. I did a first letter and a last letter, for a middle and initial and a first name. And I got those, and I said, okay. And then I got the name, and he said, yes. And he's kind of looking at me like, what's
what
the
is
message?
it?
Yeah. And I'm trying to build to it because it was an apology. It was an apology for the father doing something to his son that a father should never do to their son.
Mm.
Right. So, excuse me.
Yeah, this is an emotional one.
I'm not sad. I'm just it's hard to. So I said I said I'm going to say what I'm feeling and hearing as close to word for word as I can. And he said okay. And the message basically was, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm editing right now as we speak. Okay. I'm sorry I hurt you in the way that I did. But I was more blunt with him and told him in detail what he was sorry for.
Which we'll not discuss on this podcast.
Correct. I told him what he was sorry for and that he's sick to his stomach. He wanted to apologize on that night. And I said, "Do you know what night he's talking about?" And then he kind of looked a little puzzled. And I said, "It was really hot." He goes, I said, it felt weird because when I say really hot and muggy, I'm not thinking Washington State. I was thinking Texas. And I'm like, I'm feeling like it's another state, like it's another state, and it just rained. It was really hot and humid. And he said, yes, it was Texas. And yes, I do remember that night. And I said, that was the night he wanted to apologize, but couldn't. And he said, that was the night he died.
Mm.
And I said, okay, that makes sense. And that was my first official
Psychic reading.
medium. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was the
medium.
first time and it was, honestly, I think it was for me, it was like it's a lesson, right? Because I always say everything's a lesson.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a lesson because I had this with me and I had opportunities to kind of come out and be like, hey, Auntie Janie wants to say hi. She's doing great. Your dog's with her. Like I just wanted to had all these like little happy ones. And it was the dark one that was like, hey, now.
It seems like the other thing too is how strong, let's say, a ghost has. It seems like mediums have this weird, I'd say, fluctuation of emotion too when it comes down to it. Because I feel like for a median, I'd assume that when you went through that, you felt what they or the ghost was going through, or the apparition, right? Because that is empathy through a different world, which is now being transferred onto you to explain. And I find
you have to remember something else too. As an empath, I pick up on other people as well.
right.
So in that situation, I'm feeling the emotional parts of his father,
Not
and
to,
also
yeah.
the emotional parts of the person that I'm giving the information to.
Not to mention that you got everything to a T specifically. It was his reaction was, if I recall, him crying, wasn't it? He just burst into tears after that.
He did. He started crying when I started to describe the apology, and fair for fair fair reason. And it was weird for me because I'm picking up on him. I'm picking up on the messenger is what we'll call him. I'm picking up on both of them, but there was something that kind of came over me at the time where it was almost where I took myself out a little bit or just enough so that I could deliver the message. And then after the message was delivered, I hugged him and I teared up because that was a very emotional thing. And back then I didn't know how to set specific boundaries, how to reserve my energy, how to bring that energy back to myself and cleanse it and transmute. I didn't know any of that.
It sounds like it's like semi possession. Like you're semi being told what to do and how to say certain things for the other person.
Possession is very, very different. I understand what you're trying to say with the terminology, and I'll agree in the idea of the terminology, but not in the actual term itself, because that is far it is a far different level.
It's yeah, no, because well, the other thing, the weird thing for me was when you said you hugged him, and I know it was probably an emotional part for you as well. You're trying to comfort the person, which makes sense,
right?
But for me, it sounded like it it was the messenger telling you to do that, and in the sense it was a
he left before I hugged him. He'd gone.
Yeah.
So when I do messages, I'll say as much as I can, and then I'm like, they'll leave or I'll ask them to leave. Usually they'll leave on their own, and I'm like, okay, they're gone. I don't.
So
I don't
they left before you hugged them.
Yeah, he left before I get
Okay. It just sounded like to me originally it sounded like you were just being almost not possessed, but like
compelled
to do it by the messenger.
I was compelled to speak up, not necessarily by the messenger, but it was a mixture of the messenger and my guides saying, you need to do that. Like that guy needed to hear what I had to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was going on in his life. I don't know how emotional he was, if he was emotional, because, men are very good at hiding feelings and emotions because
even to this day,
yeah, and so I don't know what was going on in his life. Maybe there was something going on with him where not hearing that message was making things bad, and hearing that message changed some stuff, gave him a different perspective. You know what I mean? I don't know if it did or didn't. I'd like to hope that it did. I absolutely would like to hope that my getting involved and giving a message like that
just helped him in some form of way.
in some way, because it's not something you want to hear.
Not to mention from a random stranger that you don't even know. No, you didn't even do any research on this person.
That might have made it easier for him having another person, like a stranger, come in and do it.
Well, it's because it's a stranger. Like it's like imagine, right? You meeting someone for the first time, never knew the person. They didn't even do any research on you, not on social media, nothing.
Right.
And they tell you like everything that you like, oh, you enjoy the color red, and you enjoy this hobby, and you also enjoy doing this specific activity,
Right.
and you're just like, how do you know this?
Right.
So with that third party, and with that being, I would say, I think that's like the biggest aspect and why he was crying, is because you didn't know him, he didn't know you, yet you knew about
Specifics,
the specifics. And so it kind of is compelling, but it's also terrifying. Well, in a sense of like, it's kind of not terrifying in the sense of, oh, this person knows me like this. It was terrifying in a way of, they know specifically that moment.
Right.
What the hell?
Yeah, I'm sure he probably had a few what the hells on the
I think
way home.
I think most people, if they had something about their life being spewed like that to them without even knowing a person, they'd probably start freaking out a little bit.
And I think there's a lot of people out there, like, they think of like the psychic mediums as like, we can read your mind kind of. Actually had a funny story about that. One of my friends had a roommate, and I was coming over to do her cards. Not not the roommate, but my friend's cards. And my friend warned her roommate, hey, my friend Liza's coming over and she's going to do my cards, my tarot cards. So if you're not comfortable with tarot cards, you might want to leave for a little bit because she's going to bring them in the house. And so she had questions for her about, is she psychic? Is she reads cards? Is she a witch? All these different things. And she said she's not a witch. Yes, she reads cards. She's a psychic. And she goes, oh my gosh, does she read minds? And she's laughed and she's like, I don't think she reads minds. So when I show up, they're having this conversation, and the roommate's looking at me like kind of scared. And it was, my friend looks at me, it was actually Diana. She looks at me and she goes, she wants to know if you read minds. And I looked at the girl, and you know me with my quick wit.
Yeah.
Immediately I say, don't worry, everybody does it. Her face changed from white to red to blue, and she just turned around and went inside. And Diana was dying. She couldn't stop laughing. She's like, I can't believe you did that. And I'm like,
oh man,
I can't believe I did that. Anyway, that was the side story. What were we talking about?
So that was the full story, wasn't it? Where
yeah, that was the full story with that situation. I've had other ones happen, but as far as like paranormal goes, I think some of the cool things is the ability to capture orbs or sounds or energies, like and with the voices that you hear, it's not, like I said before, it's not like audible. It's more like a picture, and everyone's different. So maybe someone does get more of a better image in their mind, or they see it in a different way.
What
So can you? I guess some people can't picture things in their mind the way that others do.
it's kind of like similar to me doing analogies and kind of describing
Right.
in a detailed manner. Well, you know what I find interesting? When you're trying to look up or like do research on ghosts and how they appear on camera, one of the more fascinating ones that I find interesting is the thermo or the therma
The heat sensing.
the heat sensing
Mm-hmm.
because they can do hot or cold. And if someone is like super warm, right, in a certain area, and there's a certain part that is super cold, like let's say for example a handprint, which does happen a lot.
Like cold spots, yeah.
Yeah, someone could have a handprint.
Or you're talking about the imagery ones, where it looks like you can actually visually see.
You can visually see it because
Okay.
I think I'm stuttering so bad right now. My brain is like dead.
Okay, stop for a second. That's what I have to do. That's why I go like that. Think.
What I find interesting about temperature gauging is seeing literal prints of like hands, feet, whatever else on like certain parts of areas. So like maybe a handprint on a desk that wasn't from anyone else and it's colder than the rest of the area. So let's say an abandoned building, let's say an abandoned school. Probably the worst area in I would never do paranormal activity, by the way. I would never do anything of that sort because I'm too afraid of seeing that firsthand because my blood would like run cold and I would not be able to go anywhere.
And that would actually attract because of the fear.
That's why I wouldn't go because I'm too afraid to even do that in the first place.
It would attract certain.
Is that why that guy Zach Ghost Adventurous starts trying to like press on some other ghosts? He's like, "Come on, I'm afraid of you." He starts like posturing up. He's like, "Come on out, you want to do some dumb shit? Do some dumb shit with me." Yeah, and then he starts getting claws on his back and stuff like that. And it's just...
What's that saying? I think the princess don't protest too much. Yeah, like maybe he's actually scared and he does that.
Like, oh yeah, I see.
Himself up so that he's not afraid.
Maybe it's like a psychological deal.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like me when I first get to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and I blast my music and start dancing.
What scares me even more though is if the apparitions decide, hey, I'm gonna touch this person. I'm gonna claw them or give them like a nice little smack on their ass or something like that. And I'm just like, I don't want to be violated by a transparent.
I don't want to be clawed, but where's that last ghost? That's
the thing I don't like about doing paranormal investigation is if I can't see it, but something happens. No, I don't want to get clawed. I don't want a slap like on my chest. I don't want to have headaches or like feeling nausea because some apparition decided to go through my stomach and just fuck around with my acid.
Okay, you need to step away from what is the name of that horror show? It's like Amazon Prime, but for like scary.
Oh, Shudder?
Yeah, you need to step away from the Shudder.
I'm not even in Shudder. Like the only time I watched it was for the Late Night with the Devil, which is a really great movie, by the way.
You need to go back and watch things like Zombievers.
Nope.
Or Ants, Dead Ants.
Nope.
Dead Ants. Dead Ants. Dead Ants. Dead Ants. Dead Ants. Dead Ants.
Again, if a zombie apocalypse happened, first thing I'm doing.
Tripping someone?
No. I am going and finding every single library I can find. Get all the books. and use that as armor.
You're going to use the word of.
It seems like what's the word I'm looking for? It's the opposite. Words are mightier than the pen, or something along the lines of that.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah, but it's words and paper that won't.
That's what it means.
I'm just saying I'm going to use that as armor, like they did in Train to Busan. You know that big.
Oh, where they wrap the books around their arms.
Yes.
I got you, armor. I don't know why I went straight to a vehicle being wrapped in books. It looks like a big Jane Austen just sitting on the grill. I armored vehicles where I went with it. I don't know why. I didn't think about wrapping it on myself. I was like, I'm in a car. Why are you outside of your vehicle is my question.
If you stay inside
my zombie apocalypse mentality is I'm already in a safe place.
If you're inside your vehicle and there's a bunch of zombies around you,
Jane Austen isn't going to save me.
No, not even Stephen King, or like what's another good author?
Yours is Dean Koontz.
Maybe J.K. Rowling, because the zombies would probably get away from her.
J.K. Rowling, that I would.
Did you hear me?
What?
I think J.K. They'd probably get away from J.K. Rowling
instead of. She's gonna chase them down. Yeah. What is that? Abracadabra.
Oh man. But yeah, zombie apocalypse, definitely getting all the books and then going to like a farm nearby and then help the farmer out. I would definitely help the farmers because they're going to be the reason why we'll survive.
Every time I think of farms and zombies and farmers and zombies, I immediately go to they're the cannibals. They're always the cannibals.
It's because of that.
Every movie, TV show, they're the cannibals.
No, it's because
they're the ones with the wine cellars.
So there's a game called The Walking Dead, and obviously everyone knows The Walking Dead in like TV show, but there's a video game based off of it.
I haven't finished that.
You haven't finished it? There's 4 seasons. I can't watch it by myself. What do you mean you can't watch it by yourself?
I can't.
Why?
It's like CSI. I can watch it and then I get into a binge mode, and then next thing you know, I'm paranoid and sleeping with my gun.
You know, UberX or Nova did the full series from season 1 to season 4.
On the gaming one?
Yeah.
I could do the gaming one, but I like
the actual TV show.
TV show, I can't. Not by myself.
It gets ridiculous.
It's terrifying. I can't.
It's not even terrifying anymore. It's just silly.
Like I won't even watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, okay, 80s like horror is different from the horror that we have now, in my opinion.
Evil Dead, I can watch that all day.
How can you watch Evil Dead and not like Freddy Krueger?
Because Evil Dead's hilarious.
Yeah, it's still terrible.
Bruce Campbell is awesome.
I still love him. He's such a good actor.
No, I can do, and I can watch the Michael Myers. I can watch a lot. I can't the.
But you can't watch The Walking Dead for some reason.
And The Walking Dead, I think it's because I have. I'm talking about whether or not I had fears, and I don't have fears or phobias. I used to be scared of spiders. I'm not anymore. It's just weird, but I don't have like fear of heights or fear of flying, fear of falling. I don't have any fears. I can't think of a fear that I have, but I do have a fear of certain things, like zombies is the only one I can think of, because I think The Stand, Stephen King.
Yeah.
Like the idea of a superbug getting out and turning people into these rage-filled kind of, and 28 days later or 28 weeks later.
It reminds me of like World War Z.
Yes. So
that kind of virus will be I would just say no.
Okay. So
yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
So zombies from like Day of the Dead, or Day of the Dead? No, Day of the Damned. Night of the Walking Dead. Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living. There it is. I knew I found it.
You were close enough.
Night of the Living Dead, the old school one, and even the newer school one. You can watch it, and the zombies are very slow, because that was growing up. That's what it was. The zombies, they ate your brains if they could catch you, but you could basically walk through them, mow your yard.
Same thing with like The Walking Dead,
Mm-hmm.
but like.
But if they built up in groups, then you were in trouble. So that's why you hid. But then you go and you watch The movie, it was two two friends were with us. I want to say it was Brandy and Andrew. We went and watched that in theaters, and the whole time in theaters, all I could say over and over again is, "Why are they so fast? They shouldn't be that fast. How come they're this fast? That was way too." Dawn, it was Dawn of the Dead. How come they're so fast? Why are they so fast? Why are they? Why they? What? And I was stuttering.
And I think that's what terrifies me is how fast they are, but they still will do anything.
It was literally achievement unlocked, new fear.
Yeah, except for Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead was just funny.
Again, slow zombies. You can get away from them unless they're in big groups. Shaun of the Dead, awesome. I love that movie.
The directors though, I think it was Edgar Wright. I think it was the director's name.
I love Hot Fuzz too.
Hot Fuzz. I heard
big bushy bears.
I think the End of the World one was a good one. He has a trilogy of his movies basically within I think the same universe in a
Simon
sense.
Pegg?
Yeah, and his best friend, I forgot his name.
Why do I always remember Simon Pegg but not the friend?
It's because I think he isn't as big because Simon Pegg gets around with that sounds weird. Gets around in American movie industry more than his best friend.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I'm wondering if the mics picked up me snorting.
Probably.
$5 snort for
but the reason why Simon Pegg has been more recognizable is because he's in American movies now. He's gone into the MCU. He's gone into a bunch of other like American and British TV shows and movies. So he's more widely known in comparison to his friend, which I'm kind of sad about because I think he's funny too.
I think I like him for the same reason that I like Ryan Reynolds, because it's literally Simon Pegg and Ryan Reynolds are playing themselves in every movie they're in. It's their personality.
Except for Hot Fuzz. I think it's different. Because he played as a police officer that was really like by the book / the bad boy of whatever. But in Shaun of the Dead, he was more like a pushover / like lazy. He's not always playing the same person.
No, and neither is Ryan Reynolds. What I'm saying is like their character, like their humor is their humor in real life.
Yeah, that's what I like about their movies so much.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Reynolds did romance more like in his earlier years. The Proposal, as they say.
I love that movie so much.
It's
so much.
I can't spoil it, but the only reason why I know about that movie is because of the new movie that came out.
What was the new one?
It's a Deadpool 3.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
It's so good.
Stop talking to me.
It's so good.
I'm gonna go by myself this weekend.
Do it. It's a really good. It's a really good film. A lot of the MCU stuff you'll probably not understand. So I suggest watching Loki.
Why wouldn't I understand?
Because it correlates to the TV show.
Which Loki TV show?
The Loki TV show, and then WandaVision.
Don't say Daredevil.
Luckily, Daredevil isn't coinciding with that until their new until the new show comes out, which is Born Again. They're coming out with that.
I have an issue with that actor.
Who the guy who plays
Punisher?
Oh, you have a problem with John Bernthal?
Because he played Shane in Walking Dead.
Is that why?
It's not even the character. Maybe it was the character.
What are we supposed to do, Rick?
Yes, that guy. Oh my gosh. Him, and then the character Andrea that was on there. The only reason, and I honestly, I'm not gonna say no spoiler use because you haven't even watched The Walking Dead. Like whatever.
It's like Game of Thrones.
2 minutes because I'm gonna say. But your Uncle Richard told me, because I was like, I hate the girl Andrea, and he's really into the show, right? I hate that girl Andrea. She drives me crazy. And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. Just keep watching it because she's gonna die, right? And so I kept watching and kept watching and
she never died.
And it just kept going. And I think there was one part where she came really, really close. And it was weird because for a while there, it was literally watching the show. And anytime she would be in a compromising position, I'd be on the edge of my seat going, oh my God, is this it? Is this it? No, it was never it. I was so mad. It was like 8 seasons in. And she's still alive. I can't watch any more of this.
Yeah, some of the characters in The Walking Dead just really pissed me off because they're just dumb. They're like stupid on purpose.
But then there's people that are actually like that in real life.
Okay, fair.
And it's not that I hate, you know me, I don't like calling people dumb.
Okay, no, hold on. No. If you decide to put a fork in a toaster when you've been specifically told not to multiple years of your life, I'm going to call you dumb in that aspect. You could be smart in other aspects. You could be smart in, let's say, for example, fishing. You could be smart in some other subjects. But if you do something dumb, I'm going to call you dumb for that moment of time.
It just reminded me of a post I saw.
A post you saw?
Yeah, it wasn't a meme. I'm part of a group that has crazy signs found throughout the world. And it's a sign in Florida that says, please do not wrestle the alligators. But it doesn't just say wrestle, it says wrestle or molest alligators. And they don't create signs. Your fork and toaster, like they don't tell you not to use the toaster near the bathtub or use a hairdryer in the shower unless somebody did
this is deja vu. Common sense. We talked about this before.
Not all sense is common though.
No, hold on.
Everyone has common sense.
We talked about this though in like a previous podcast where it seems like it's more common sense to not do something like that. Right?
I don't know.
I remember we talked about this.
Maybe.
That or I'm having like a moment of...
We might have talked about it on some random day. We talk about random stuff all the time.
Either way. Common sense, I guess... I don't know.
Okay.
With The Walking Dead, the only reason why I just don't like it anymore is because it's just gotten... Are you okay with spoilers? With The Walking Dead?
Don't spoil it.
Wait, but you're not going to watch it by yourself.
You don't know. I could start dating soon. Maybe I'll start watching it.
Just go watch it with Diana at this fucking point.
Who really likes zombie movies.
Watch it with Diana, or is she too afraid of zombies too?
That's not really her thing. She's kind of into the whole K-drama next level. Like, she's got me beat on
Was she into Twilight?
She
don't need to tell me anything else. Don't need to tell me anything else.
She talked me into going to see the second one in theaters.
I hated, like...
And I told you about the Shark Boy thing.
Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
So in the second Twilight, it is, what's his name? The actor that plays Jacob. Because I'm Team Jacob. I am totally Team Jacob.
I'm rolling my eyes because
I love vampires.
I hated the Team Jacob versus Team... What's his name? The other one?
See, I don't even know because I'm not his team. That's like the Supernatural. I'm Team Dean and she's Sam. And in Vampire Diaries, I'm Damon and she's Steph. We're opposites on everything. So I'm Team Jacob. We're watching it. And this guy is taking off his shirt the entire movie. And I'm looking at her and she's cracking up. And it was hilarious. And then we leave and I go to work the next day. And they're like, how was your night? Because I told the girl, Rachel, my best friend's going to make me watch Twilight tonight. And she laughed and said, have fun. And so I watched it. I come back. And the next day, she's like, how was it? And I was like, it was good. I'm like, that guy took his shirt off a lot. And I mean, he's pretty beefy, to be honest. He was very, very handsome. And she goes, oh, you mean Shark Boy?
Yep.
Mortified. I'm mortified. My face changes color. And I'm like, oh my God, that is Shark Boy. And she goes, do you know how old he is? And I'm like, no, how old? 16.
In the movie?
He's 16 in the movie. So now I'm not allowed to watch Twilight 2 ever. Ever. I can't.
You know,
it's so wrong. It's so wrong. I sympathize now with some of the, not all of them. Okay, not everyone's a bad person. Let me get that out there. But I sympathize with some of these guys who were like, she looked like she was this age or whatever. I did not get it. I get it now. I do get it. Not everyone. Disclaimer myself. And then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to wrap that up.
We're just going to stop talking about that because it's just getting awkward at this point.
Awkward.
It's only because...
It was awkward. She said Shark Boy. I was mortified.
I will say, though, and I'm going to say this. Real quickly, I'm going to go on a little mini rant.
Oh, mini rant.
I hate triangle romances.
What?
Or yes, romance triangles.
What do you mean?
Like
Like she couldn't choose between the two guys?
I hated that
That's
so.
because she's so dumb. And I don't like those either because it's like the whole team, Steph and Damon. It was dumb.
Remember,
you lied to yourself the entire season.
she was so bad. I remember the second movie or third movie. She brought a plant of cactus, and it was like the tiniest little one. And I remember there was a spoof movie on the Twilight movie, and it's just that one, but like twice or like 5 times her size, and she brought it out of the car. But the reason why I hate
the movies weren't too bad except for the first one. The other ones weren't that bad. And to be honest with you, I did read the first 3 books, and the books are actually really good.
It just, the movies felt like they were fan fiction.
I agree.
They were just like,
I agree,
watering at the mouth, ready to see his body glisten in the sun. Why the hell is a vampire glistening in the sun?
Sparkly.
Some disco ball having ass.
Okay, look, I do not think that a vampire should be sparkly, but I will say that I appreciate the writer's choice. I'm choosing my words very carefully here. The writer's choice, creative
vision
of wanting to do things a little bit different with something that has been around for a very long time. It's very brave. Very brave of them to do.
Dumb and brave.
Brave. I mean, sometimes
you could be thick-headed and have no brain.
Look, sometimes you have you have to do the dumb thing. Sometimes you have to do the dumb thing and go, you know what? That was dumb. Or go, you know what? That's the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm so glad I did the dumb crazy thing.
Hold on now. Here's the other thing. I hate the love triangles in the X-Men films. The X-Men films, the original ones from 2000.
Jean Grey.
Yeah, Jean Grey with Cyclops and Wolverine.
She's dumb. Wolverine or Cyclops? Wolverine. Duh. You'd rather go for Cyclops over Wolverine?
I'd rather them not have a love triangle. I'd rather have Jean Grey with Cyclops and then Rogue with Wolverine.
No, Rogue should not be Wolverine.
Oh wait, no, with Gambit. I'm sorry.
Gambit. Do not kill my Gambit. Ma chérie. Love Gambit.
No, God.
No, wait. Are they doing Gambit? Are they gonna do Gambit? Was there a spoiler? Did they kill Gambit, or is there a spoiler for Gambit?
Shut up! Shut up!
God! Oh my God!
Do you want to know who the actor is?
Yes, please.
Channing Tatum. Yeah, I'm being serious. It was so good. It was so good.
Oh my God.
And he has a
Stop! I can't breathe right. Hold on. Like, you're gonna have to like delete this part out for a second.
Are you freaking out?
Oh my God, I'm totally freaking out.
He's been wanting to play Gambit for so long, and now he's in the works with Kevin Feige to get his own film.
Hold on. Slow down,
They didn't.
Wait. Do you have to do that thing where I can clear my throat?
Hold your horses.
Clear my throat. Okay, hold on. How red is my face right now?
Very, because you have a vein popping out of your fucking forehead.
Like the top of my nose.
No, just across like this. Because you're like trying to hold your breath.
I cannot describe how much I love Gambit. I'm nerding out right now.
So Channing Tatum plays Gambit. So let me tell you.
And he's awesome.
Hold on, let me tell you.
Does he keep the Creole voice? Is it Louisianan?
Yes, but it's Cajun French.
Oh my God!
And he does it so well. I really. And he does the original. He has the original suit from the original X-Men 97.
Seriously? Oh my God.
There's no hat, there's none of that. And he actually uses playing cards and the pole
Booba
in the film.
Booba. You just made my day. You made my year. That is
the one thing about it is that he's been in the works with trying to get that Gambit film for 12 years.
And
now everyone loves him. Kevin Feige might be in the talks with MCU to trying to get the X-Men since Fox is now done with X-Men,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna try to get him his own solo film.
Yes.
I love the idea of
Oh my
Gambit because
God.
I've recently started watching the X-Men 97 the new show. And
I'm over here choking.
Yeah, I remember
My-
the old show.
My own drool.
I remember I'm gonna show you a video.
Okay.
But there's an old show which you probably know, which is X-Men, right? The original cartoon.
The original
The
cartoon
original cartoon. They made
was my favorite in that cartoon.
still, and there's Morph as well.
Yes.
So the cool thing about X-Men 97 is that Morph has so many cameos of the Hulk, Angel, and all those other X-Men in there.
Right.
But the cool thing about X-Men 97 is that they're going and continuing on from the original series.
Seriously.
Yes, and so they just finished season 1 and season 2 is coming out
So are
soon.
they gonna come out with like a DVD or like a download of their original cartoons?
It's on Disney Plus right now.
Because you have to catch up on all that.
I've already did.
Oh,
and I've watched all the episodes already. I'm going to say this now. I understand why everyone loved Gambit. And why everyone enjoyed his character, because
and not a lot of people did. Like, you'd say Gambit and people would laugh at me. I'm like, no, he's my favorite.
Same thing with Cyclops. Like
people saying Superman and laughing at me. I love Superman.
Everyone hated Cyclops in the X-Men films because he was like a bratty know-it-all in the film with having a love triangle with
Cyclops
Jean.
was okay in the cartoon.
He's better in the 97 variation now.
Much, much better. And they did, I'm gonna say it, they pussified him in
Same thing with Storm.
movies.
Same thing with Storm. They didn't do Storm justice in the movies.
Not even
in the
close.
movies.
Which is crazy because, I mean, they picked a good actress. They absolutely did. I like her.
And she was funny in the blooper because she kissed Hugh Jackman in that moment, and then she was like, yes. She got so excited to kiss Hugh Jackman, and then Hugh Jackman was like giving that Indiana Jones look, like, all right.
Yeah, I love her.
But yes, I think you should go watch Deadpool 3. I'm willing to even go with you to go watch it because I want to watch it again.
Yeah,
It's a really great film, and it touches up on a lot of old films of the X-Men films as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of cameos you'll probably remember. There's even cameos that I didn't expect to see, which
I'm gonna be like a kid in a candy store.
I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but one of the moments made me burst into flames in happiness.
Why'd you use those words, burst into flames and stop?
What's the one character you think?
I don't want to. Don't ruin it. Oh no, we were supposed to be talking about paranormal. We went way.
I think we should wrap it up then, because X-Men is
wrap it off.
Mutant powers is technically paranormal.
Ooh.
Technically.
I don't know if that would be paranormal or supernatural.
I think both, because considering that there's characters that are paranormal, like actual ghosts. Like, there's actual characters that are paranormal ghosts, so technically it's both. Same thing with like
who's the ghost?
Well, I guess technically not.
Are you talking about people that can phase through walls and stuff?
No, I'm talking about actual like comic book characters. Like, one of them is Deadman, or I think
you're thinking of Umbrella Academy now.
No, I'm thinking about DC. There's a character named Boston, who's basically a actual dead apparition who takes control and possession of other characters to try to talk to people, but no one can see him.
Ooh, I don't know that I remember that.
You should look him up. He's really cool. But I'd say let's wrap it up.
Okay.
And do a summary of what we talked about. We talked about your story with talking with someone and basically saying everything about his past. And had a moment.
I did a reading, a medium reading.
We then started talking about
this was my first one.
Then we started talking about like TV shows of movies and
zombies.
Specifically zombies, especially John Bernthal, because apparently you still have a fucking hatred towards him.
By the way, let me throw this out there before you finish summarizing. If you do like zombie films, and you're not opposed to subtitles, I would say go to, and I think it should be on Amazon Prime, and watch Train to Busan.
Really great film. I've never
Busan. Train to Busan. It is amazing.
I never expected Train to Busan to be so good because sometimes whenever I think and watch I'd say like Japanese films, sometimes I kind of get thrown off because it's a different culture and it's
Right.
different movies. But with Train to Busan, it's very close to American cinematography and style,
Yeah.
just with a mixture of culture of was it Korea?
It's
Right?
Korean. It's a
Yeah.
Korean film.
So
And there's even 2 animes. They're Korean animes that were done
for Train to Busan,
for Train to Busan, and it has to do with
Ooh.
how the outbreak started.
was
And
started.
it kind of follows other people, and then the second part is similar.
The big guy, the big guy in that movie was great. By the way, I love him. He's such a funny dude. He's the guy that looked like a bodyguard.
Oh yeah, I can't
He's
remember his name.
he's such a sweetheart in real life. He actually like has like Hello Kitty stuff and does like goofy pictures. But in his movies, he plays as a tough guy.
Yes,
I love him.
he always plays the mafia style,
the Yakuza.
right?
Yeah.
Well, not Yakuza in Korea, but
I think he's just a great actor. He did a good job. Same thing with the other actors in that film too. What was the last thing we talked
his
about?
name is Ma Dong-seok.
Mandasok.
Ma Dong-seok.
What was the last thing we talked about? Then we started talking about X-Men films and talking about and Twilight and how I hate love triangles. That's the one I was looking for. Love triangles are stupid. I think they should not be there unless it's like part of I can't believe I'm going to say this. If it's smutty for books.
Oh!
So it's like it makes sense for like books like that, but it doesn't make sense for books that are actually, I would say, less sexual.
Love triangles are a classic. What do you call it?
Was it like Romeo and Juliet, wasn't it, where they have the first love triangle, wasn't it?
No, Romeo and Juliet, where their families hated each other, but they fell in love after love at first sight.
Yeah, no, I know that. I thought there was another character that Juliet was like.
No, Romeo had a thing for Rosalind.
Thank you.
He was kind of dating someone, and then they broke up.
Okay,
and
that's
then he
right.
went to the party, and then he saw.
There's so many things. My girlfriend has taught me a lot of different like things, like enemies to lovers. Somehow, I'm actually enjoying reading those books.
Those are actually
they're fun,
and they're a little bit realistic because there are times where you're having a conversation with someone and they annoy you so much and you can't figure out why, and then you realize later it's because you like them. You project.
Except for the Star Wars, the new series with what's his name, who played I already forgot the whole series. Ray and I'm blanking. I'm talking about the new series, like 7, 8, and 9. Episode 7, 8, and 9.
Oh,
I'm talking about Ray and
Darth Vader's
like grandson. Successor. Yeah,
Han Solo's son.
I didn't like that. It didn't make sense to me for like enemies to lovers.
I don't think that was enemies to lovers so much. I think it was just they had a connection. They knew they had a connection. He was just dark side, she was light side. So it was almost, if you think about it, it's almost a Romeo Juliet thing, except for the light side didn't hate.
It didn't make any sense because I understand the connection, but they went too far with the connection because it wasn't there. That connection was not there at that level. There was a connection.
No, I think it was there. I think that it was definitely there.
What do you think?
For me, I registered it. It was there.
Do you think it was a Romeo and Juliet where it was like a Skywalker in love with a Palpatine?
I think
I
that
fucking hate that idea. Oh my god.
I think that in real life there are people that you can meet or talk to or video chat with or whatever, and immediately have a connection, and like a deep connection, even though you barely know anything about them. It's almost like you've known them, or you feel like you've known. Your energy knows energy.
It's like
That's how I think
but
of
it
it.
felt,
Energy knows energy.
I don't know, it just felt forced to me. Like, I understand they had connections here and there, but they didn't do enough build up for it.
Did you say force?
It was pun intended, yes.
Okay. So energy recognizes energy. So if you look at it that way, it was the force. It was their energy, her energy and his energy were on the same level.
I still completely disagree, and I wish that
He was able to go light the same way she could have gone dark.
who's the stormtrooper in the 7th, 8th, and 9th film that changed? What was his name? It's not Ford. It was
You said Ford.
yeah.
I still haven't watched Hitchhiker's Guide. I need to. I
What's
need
his
to watch
name?
it.
What's his name though?
I don't know. Poe is the pilot, and the guy's name. It was simple.
It wasn't John.
No, I don't remember now.
Characters
You're gonna
in
have to Google
Star Wars. Let me look this up real quick.
In the meantime, energy does recognize energy, and that's real life versus the show. That's how I looked at it.
It wasn't Lando.
Why he was able to connect to
Wow, he's on the
Darth Vader.
Why is he at the
Where he
bottom?
felt the connection to Darth Vader.
Why is he so?
So just look it up and put cast and crew. He should be right at the top.
I'm looking it up. Ray Finn.
Finn. See, you knew it started with an F.
I'm sad though. They did John Boyega wrong, because I kind of wish he was a Jedi instead of Ray. I wish that they made Finn a Jedi, like a stormtrooper turned Jedi, because he had force sensitivity in the 8th film,
which is why they picked him as a stormtrooper, right?
No,
weren't they stealing the kids so that way they could prevent Jedi from? Or is that a different canon?
I think it's a different canon. It was. It's a really.
It was an interesting canon, though.
I love that concept. It's a great idea.
Yeah. So to prevent Jedi from being grown, or they made them stormtroopers.
Look, all I'm saying is that
they had the midichlorians.
I think they had better. I think they had better chemistry with Rey and Finn than Rey and Kylo Ren. In my mind.
There you go, Kylo. I need.
I think Rey and Finn would have been a better couple than Rey and Kylo.
I think that Rey and Finn definitely had the connection, but it wasn't the same. Energy knows energy. I'm gonna keep saying it.
I swear. I did like Poe though. I always like him. Oscar Isaac. He's such a good actor.
I like for sure.
Okay, but we got to wrap this up now.
Yeah.
So
we're on Star Wars, and if
we're getting way we're starting to get,
we're in trouble. But
we're getting way too nerdy into this. I still love the idea. Now you're getting me into it. I still love the idea that they use wooden blocks
in the
first ever Star Trek episodes.
There's so many things.
It's so good.
We haven't done that in a while.
They use marbles.
Yes.
I love the DIY stuff that they did. That means anyone can make anything that they want.
FX, special effects, back in the day was a completely different animal than it is now.
It was cheaper back then,
videography,
but it was still good.
Completely different animal than it is now.
The Klingons.
I was talking with another of my coworkers who he does photography. He's the one that I gave the 8mm to.
Yeah.
And he's trying to find film for it still. Anyways, we were talking about the difference between like a 35mm film camera versus
a Super 8 and
or digital versus the old school.
Well, the difference is that the quality is literally straight up raw. Like the quality, sure. Okay, so I'm a film major for those who don't know, and quick thing before we end the show here.
Right before we end.
Yeah, the concept of film is literally images being printed on there by light. And so when someone does 24 frames per second, It's literal frames on a film.
Right.
And there's different sizes of film. So there's Super 8s, there's 35 mil, there's 16 mil, and that indicates the size of it. So 35 mil is pretty big in terms of like quality.
I remember I bought a 35 and I got a telescope lens. I just have to get film for it. But there's something.
Films are so expensive right now.
They are, but at the same time, there's something magical about film versus digital. Digital, you can mess with, you can do all kinds of stuff, but with regular film, it's like you take that picture, that's it. You don't get to check it. You don't get to say, did I do that right until later.
Well, actually, funny enough, they did do different color corrections back then with film. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, people who are listening, I think they used different colored water to actually colorize the film. Or they hand painted each film an image. So there's some of them that do that.
I feel a rabbit hole coming on.
I'll just end it right there. I might be wrong on that, but I know they did color correction back then. I know they did
color correction. I just don't know how they did it.
Colored film? That would make sense. I think they had colored film, like tinted film, like green tint or like a purple tint.
Did the same things that they do now. Like we have a fish lens or you have a lens that you can change the color on. Back then, they just used, plastic wrap that you put marker on and then stick it in front of the lens. Like there's a lot of different tips and tricks and things that you can do.
And back in the 80s and 70s, like filming was rough in terms of like getting the right,
like the videography of it,
the cinematography and like getting the right film, getting the right contrast, the lighting. Like they had to use in film back then. They also used different makeup because the coloring on the film was different in comparison to digital now.
Yeah, that's like you look at black and white film, and then you look at the I'm playing with my tripod right now. Sorry. If you look at the black and white film, or
if you look at TV and look at the news,
8 mil, and then you see pictures that they enhanced like color wise. The amount of makeup that they had to put on somebody for a black and white film was
crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so essentially there's different sizes of film, and there's even one film that, for those who don't know IMAX, they have a certain film that's big and they twist it the other direction to get the most out of it. It's interesting because there's so much of that image now that you see, and that's why when people say go to watch IMAX films instead of regular films, is because regular films crop out the image. IMAX film shows the entire composition.
Yeah, that's wild.
I need to start doing that more often, but it's so expensive to watch it because it's like $18. It's like $18 to watch the Batman film back then. Not back then, like the new Batman film.
I wouldn't. It's Batman. It's not Superman. I wouldn't.
Well, it's also Robert Pattinson in leather, so you probably like that, wouldn't you?
And it's Robert. That's his name. And no. God, no. You put Channing Tatum into some leather. They won't have a conversation.
Technically, he was in leather. He's technically in leather in Deadpool 3.
Yeah, I no.
Anyways,
not my jam or my jelly.
We're gonna end it here, everyone. We hope you enjoyed our nerdy talk, and we hope you also enjoyed our supernatural talk as well.
Paranormal, supernatural.
Oh, sorry, paranormal,
psychic. It was like all mixed in.
Yeah,
we were just talking today.
This was a good time.
It was good talk.
But next week, I believe we are doing. It's curiosity.
No, we're not going in order anymore. We're just randomly picking.
I kind of want to do curiosity.
Because you like my stories.
That, and also I want to talk about more nerdy stuff because I feel like it's kind of my side of things I enjoy. Okay. I want to get it out of my system.
I've got some great historical oddities / curiosities.
We should talk about Star Trek and some. Ooh, we should talk about film history and the dark side of it, including the Alice in Wonderland, the original film where they had, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I won't spoil that.
Okay, no spoilers.
we will be talking about that
Okay.
next week. And I hope you enjoyed this little podcast that we had. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can. If you want to press the like button, you also can. And share it with your friends as well. We much appreciate it. And leave a comment down below what else you want us to talk about, or if you have your own opinions. Please let us know. We love talking. As you can tell, we have our own podcast. So at the end of it, thank you so much. And we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye.